Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to have you here today. We are taking a fascinating deep dive into a presentation from Dr. Christophe Delong and Kinexa, all about the biomechanics of the elite golf swing. Now, if you've always thought of a perfect golf swing as merely a beautiful art form, well, prepare to have your mind blown. We're going to reframe that pristine drive down the fairway into a breathtaking orchestration of exact, unyielding biomechanical science.
So let's start with a pretty staggering number, 124. That is the exact number of muscles your body has to activate in perfect, synchronized harmony just to execute a single golf swing. Think about that for a second. This isn't just swinging a stick. It's a full-body, high-performance symphony happening all at once. And to add another layer of sheer awe to this, those 124 muscles must operate flawlessly across more than 17 major human joints. We're talking from your ankles and knees all the way up through your pelvis, your thoracic spine, your shoulders, and right down to your wrists. If literally even one of these joints is slightly off, the entire system misfires.
Now you might be wondering, how much time do you actually have to get all of this right? Consider this incredibly tiny window, 0.2 to 0.3 seconds. That is the blistering duration of the critical transition phase, the downswing. In the blink of an eye, you're navigating a margin of error of mere millimeters at the point of impact. It is, quite frankly, one of the most demanding neuromotor challenges in all of human movement.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the astonishing complexity of the swing. Moving right along into Section 2, the temporal sequence.
So how do all of these staggering numbers actually combine to do the impossible, manipulating physics to propel a ball at speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour? Well, elite power isn't about brute strength. It actually behaves exactly like a cracking whip or a crashing ocean wave transferring energy. Here's the precise timeline of how that whip cracks. It's a proximal to distal firing sequence. At the exact moment the downswing begins, the pelvis fires at 0 milliseconds. Just 50 milliseconds later, the trunk follows. Another 50 milliseconds, and the shoulders join the party. Then the arms, the hands, and finally, the club head. And here is the absolute secret sauce. It's not just about accelerating. As the heavy, slower segments like the pelvis reach their peak speed, they instantly decelerate. They brake aggressively, which forcefully snaps all that pent-up energy right into the lighter, faster segments, culminating in a violent explosion of speed at the club head.
But where does that energy even come from before the whip cracks? It comes from this brilliant concept called the X factor. During the backswing, a professional golfer will rotate their pelvis about 45 to 50 degrees, but their shoulders will coil up to a massive 90 to 100 degrees. This creates a staggering 2-to-1 ratio of shoulder rotation to hip rotation. We call this massive rotational discrepancy the X factor stretch.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the biological engine.
We know the physics, but how does the human body physically store this immense coiled energy generated by the X factor? After all, we aren't machines made of steel springs. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how our body's built-in elastic bands act exactly like drawing back a heavy, high-tension bowstring. The primary engine of this power is the posterior oblique sling and the thoracolumbar fascia. As that X factor stretch happens, muscles like the left latissimus dorsi and the right gluteus maximus stretch way out, storing massive amounts of elastic energy in that lower back fascia network. When the downswing triggers, that tension reaches its absolute maximum before a violent explosive release.
But I have a critical warning for anyone looking to replicate this out on the course. True elite biomechanics dictate that this massive rotation absolutely must come from the hips and the shoulders pivoting around your highly mobile thorax, your mid-back. If you have weak glutes or a stiff upper back, your body will cheat. It's going to force your lumbar spine, your lower back to rotate instead, and your lumbar spine is built for stability, not rotation. This catastrophic mechanical error is literally the leading cause of chronic lower back pain in amateur golfers.
And while your torso is twisting like a giant rubber band, think about what your neck has to do. The concept of the quiet eye relies entirely on the cervical spine, which thankfully allows an impressive 85 degrees of rotation per side. This remarkable anatomical feature is the only reason a golfer can keep their eyes locked perfectly still on the ball, while their entire body violently uncoils beneath them.
Let's move into an entirely different dimension of power in Section 4, the external amplifiers.
So the crucial point is that true elite power doesn't just come from within the body. It is literally harvested from the earth beneath the golfer. Elite players use horizontal shear force.
At the very start of a downswing, a right-handed pro actively pushes away from the target, pushing right with their trail leg to violently snap their center of mass left. This acts as a massive horizontal braking mechanism. By planting that lead leg and stopping the forward momentum of the pelvis dead in its tracks, all that energy radically accelerates the club. Just perfecting this one ground force technique can add an astonishing 10 to 15 miles per hour to your club speed.
Let's bring all these complex layers together in Section 5, synthesizing the data.
And this brilliantly illustrates how modern professionals actually train. They aren't just guessing on the driving range. Technology like TrackMan measures over 26 specific flight parameters. We're using 3D sensors and force plates. And to gain pure speed, players use overspeed training, swinging clubs that are 20 to 30% lighter than standard. This isn't about building muscle. It literally rewires your central nervous system to get used to generating superior blistering speeds.
When you synthesize all of this data, it distills down into the ultimate distance equation. Distance equals your club speed times your smash factor, which is basically the efficiency of energy transfer from the club head to the golf ball, times your optimal launch angle, minus any excessive spin. And why fight so hard for perfect biomechanics? Because every single extra mile per hour you gain from that kinetic chain and ground force yields roughly 2.5 extra yards of distance down the fairway. Perfecting this and achieving that elite, thoughtless automation requires around 10,000 hours of dedicated excellence.
Which brings us to our final thought. You've seen the 124 muscles at play. You understand the incredible 0.2-second temporal sequence. You know how to harvest power from the earth and store it in your fascia. Now that you know the exact science behind the art, are you ready to reinvent your swing and begin your own 10,000-hour journey to mastery? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I had a blast, and I can't wait to dive into the next fascinating topic with you.